Good evening, everyone. Alright, so I played the Stanley Parable quite some time ago. I've been told about the beginner's guide. It had been recommended a few times, but I had put off playing it. Not because of any actual intention, but it just happened to be that way. So let's get this rolling. I had a lot of fun with the Stanley Parable. Hello, hey everyone. Alexis, Ty, Dragon Tamer, Sleepy Bean, and Mr. Savage, also Gamers React.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing the Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote the Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here.
Well, this is based on a lie.
It's 2008. Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveyWreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
But that's a lie. Floating crates are a mainstay of desert towns.
Warning. Whisper machine active. Shift destruction imminent.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Oh, I had limited ammo. Whatever.
Security code breached.
Pick a door, one of them kills you. The other one leads to safety. Unfortunately, they both go
It
nowhere.
looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Turns out,
And
we
of course,
were the real
the
monster,
initiated activation.
and we should have shot ourselves.
I
Oh,
love how
okay.
you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
That's also a lie. The bottom of the universe is blue. This is the Beginner's Guide, a game about
Apparently,
games.
the space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
Nope. Darn. I'm going back to the labyrinth.
Or, if you'd really like to solve the labyrinth, you're welcome to do that too.
Well, I will then. Right, I need some breadcrumbs. I count this as close enough. E for effort. I solved the labyrinth all on my own.
Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative
Okay,
about
one
the
moment.
whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
She always knows when the stream is about to start.
You could save us all. That beam is powering the whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
Everyone knows beams aren't fatal. Well, I guess they
Let me
are.
pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
I've become a ghost. I can haunt the station now.
The beam causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it, like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
Well, this direction was up, so I can't wait to see what other directions we go in. The past was behind her. That could be like a good movie thing. However, I can't actually move. But I can jump. Alright. The present doesn't let me actually move to the future.
Yep.
That's a
In
flaw.
this game, you can only walk backwards.
Well, whatever. It's almost like we're just trying to get back to the
So
beginning.
it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
Except for that person that just keeps spray painting all these messages on the wall. How will she find the strength? She can't open the door to the future. Hey, wait, there was
It's
a
a short
door
little
there.
thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
Alright, now we're playing Slender Man. This is like the original game of Slender Man, where you had to find, like, pages and batteries.
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
Yeah, because we just died.
Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games. I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, like, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
He treated his games just like he treated his pets and family members. As soon as he was done with them, they were dead to him.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
Nah, I just like this leisurely stroll up the stairs. Yeah, we'll just do enter. There is no door. That was the message. Also, I don't know why she is so eager for attention. She had been bribed with food and water.
A room that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games.
Staring at a bear for 3 hours. Alright, let's do that. We're getting the bear
Coda
achievement.
would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
Well, I mean, the Stanley Parable was pretty fun to just kind of joke around as you're playing it. I was not very good at following instructions. Alright, this one promised fishing.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
I can't solve it. Where is the way to open this door? I feel like this could be like some Dora the Explorer thing. Can you see where the lever is? It is really relaxing music. Alright, so now there's another lever. But can we see it? Alright, I might have to pause to give her as much attention as possible. And then we learn that the lever was inside ourselves.
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're gonna see it a lot.
At least I got the cheat notes for the next time. Alright, door, where's your lever?
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve the puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again, so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Well, that is, very creepy. Ow, I can't jump off into
How
the
about that?
abyss.
There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior, and then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same. is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
I don't understand. Alright, back to Slender Man. This time we're not gonna die like 5 seconds in.
Aha. So this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
It's also pitch black and you're likely to be eaten by a grue. A great and lovely descent. Okay, this isn't an actual literal descent. I feel misleaded here.
Let's talk about video game development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development.
I may
To
have
make
to
all of
pause.
these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well.
Now you might question...
The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games, to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
Now I went into the handicap one because I was morally handicapped. That certainly is one way to do it. Alright, great descent, let's do this. Broken legs. We crawl along. Oh, that's the ribs. It's like that surgeon simulator game. And now we're at the bottom. Oh, there's a glass wall. The gates. They're closing in on us. Yeah, but I used it beforehand. But can I solve this labyrinth? Yeah, I gotta go.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that. This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere.
Spoiler, there wasn't. We've got these 3 dots ominously showing up again.
It's the puzzle again, with the exact same solution as the last time.
Or is it? Yeah, it is.
There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
I think his front door worked that way. And so that was his normal of how doors worked. But you're right, that was the handicap, but it was a little late.
Here, Coda begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
I spent hours in it. We're gonna play coy. Wait, how did they not solve the puzzle? Alright, I don't trust these people. They're clearly evil. We'll use diplomacy. Ah, I rolled a 1. Ah, no other dialogue. Well then, I bid you good day. I just walked down a corridor and now I'm here. Eventually, when you're dead. I mean, it is pretty enjoyable music. It kinda, It's been a while since I played it, but it kind of reminds me of the Talus Principle a bit.
Down to the final floor of the level.
I've got to just say, as a descent into hell, this is not really as depressing and despairing as I thought it would be.
It's a lamppost. Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something. He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
Now if we just have a wardrobe, we can go to Narnia. That's what it was all along. He was making a Narnia game. How do I leave the notes? Oh, come on, I want to be able to leave Dark Souls notes.
So first off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're going to see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person. In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy, trying to get his attention. I was over-enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually. Oh, feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them. Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played. But it's ironic, isn't it? That in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him.
I do want to
be honest with you,
upvote this one.
This idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work.
Or
I think
can
this
you?
is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
But what if one's world was built on a house of lies and cards? Then you wouldn't be really going into their world. That's okay, I stopped listening to these guys long ago. But I do want a free t-shirt. Yeah, it's bad design to make a door that you can't open. I don't know who would ever do that. There's so many random thoughts. And there's just not enough time to read them all. Okay, let's do it. Ah, buggy game. I can't even jump. Well, jump off. Truer words have never been spoken. Define fun. Fun is fun. Isn't that the dictionary definition? Even though that's gonna be a very bad definition. Now just imagine each little note as someone screaming their message over and over to become a cacophony of noise and thoughts. Hey, Ender. As we progress through this quiet, relaxing game of emptiness.
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again. And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one.
With ominous whispers.
In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on. And because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
And now it reveals it. Oh, it's like the sound of a typewriter. Where are all the monkeys? There has to be some monkeys at these typewriters.
Okay,
Porn
this one is
stars
tough.
die
It's gonna
too.
kind of just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
Ha! Porn stars die too. Hang with it. I see what you're doing there, game. Alright, so we've got the table. We don't have the rope yet, but I'm pretty sure there's a board game of Clue under the couch. Wait, has it been established that my character's the porn star, though? I refuse to speak. Except in a self-refuting manner.
See, like, this is it. The whole game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
Climb skill at 6. I like this minimalistic furniture of the future. Go with the giant hole. Hey, that's not a giant hole. That's just a coffee table. It's the illusion of choice. I have a table. But they were invented in 1935. You can look it up, but I don't know where, so don't ask.
There's a bit more to this one, but still, it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake.
Alright, escape.
So, okay, he throws it out and starts over. This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
This time you're in an actual prison. These 3 dots. Again. I know. But I guess it's just the furniture of the future today.
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape. Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside. Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen.
And now it was revealed that Coda went to prison.
To see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on? But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop, that particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then he hits on something.
We were the prison.
And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons. This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
Alright, you have a great night, Dragon Tamer. I don't know, I think that it's more that it kind of sucks you in, and you're just kind of watching the story as it goes. I kind of felt the same way with playing ones like To the Moon, Finding Paradise, Raccoon, and so forth, that were not so much games per se, but more like the stories that you're just kind of watching the events of. Let's make a phone call. That definitely would explain a lot.
It's a conversation. And so this is what Coda wants, is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows.
Maybe
But the
Coda...
irony is that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
I think that Coda killed a porn star, went to jail, and then broke out, and then he started making video games. Now you have to do it all over again. Gotta discuss your feelings to escape prison. It's called magic. Guys, which one should I pick? I can't decide whether to do 1, 2, or 3. We'll go with 3. I mean, this Hollow Knight mod is really incredible.
This a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice?
But what if the person telling that to you was lying?
So what would it look like if Coda wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself?
Because after all, the person on the phone was an ex-con who escaped prison.
To me, this environment is meant to represent Coda's puzzle, with the 2 doors on either side and a dark transitional space between.
Yeah, whatever, I'm home. I'm just gonna go to sleep. Darn it, they didn't implement the sleeping mechanics in this game yet.
You'll notice that the quality of the art is a step up from previous games, including this new and improved chat system, which he started using from this point on. From here on out, he begins putting much more effort into the visual polish of his work, and this particular game took 2 months to create as a result.
I'll clear the table by knocking it all on the floor. Hey, he's making me do all the chores. This game is a game about games, discussing games and game development. Also, I don't know, so... See, this guy's making me do all the work. I feel like I should be complaining the entire way. You're like, bro, I'm carrying all the weight in this cleaning. You know, and he's probably not even going to be grateful. He's going to be like, thanks for cleaning my house, man. Now get out. Oh, mop over by the couch. I wasn't even paying attention. Make it especially cheesy. Extra cheese. This guy has not cleaned a single thing since I got here. It's probably just going around knocking books on the floor and be like, hey, can you pick them up? I already did that.
Set of prison games. This house cleaning level almost feels like cleansing. It's the moment after a particularly difficult or traumatic experience where you just need to let it sit and digest inside of you, and eventually cohere into something meaningful.
I don't
Coda
think...
really liked this game. Of all his work, actually, this was the only one that he called me up to ask me to come over and look at it. This was during a period of a few months where he was, like, grossly happy all the time. Just walked around with a constant smile on his face.
This is a horror game. As you said, made by parents. It's to remind you that as a kid you hated doing chores, and you're trying to think of what you can use to break the glass and escape out into that barren, snowy wasteland to die in the cold. Because rather than have to pick up some more books. You didn't even take a bath. It wasn't even extra cheesy. No, how about you clean up the books? You'll feel much better after doing so. Let's stare this guy down. Eyes narrowed. If thoughts could kill, this guy would be dead. But that would still mean we'd have to clean up the books. Darn. Alright, truly there's a door here.
I'm glad he made this. I'm glad he found some peace.
Yeah, his head would break that glass. Unless...
But, of course, it can't last. The music stops, your companion is gone, it's time to leave. The door at the top of the hill is now open as well. Again, you can't stay in the dark space for too long. You just can't. You have to keep moving. It's how you stay alive.
Wait a sec. Let's test that theory. Let's find the darkest place we can and wait to be eaten by a grue. I feel a little disappointed.
Which is the whole point of the puzzle doors, right? That sooner or later you have to pick up and move. I really thought that was the point of it.
The lampposts are our bonfires. Although it kind of reminds me of that old point-and-click game called Lighthouse, even though it's a lamppost rather than a lighthouse. A Gru is a monster from the Zork games that had killed you if you moved around in the dark, so it was a means to stop you from wandering around in dark areas. And you'd know that you were in trouble because you get the message of it is pitch black, you're likely to be eaten by a Gru. I like these small, more personal classes. And our ability to teleport to any chair we like.
About halfway through the game, the perspective shifts.
Yeah, that seems about right for a class.
And you play as the teacher. And suddenly, you discover that your teacher is just as bigoted and afraid as you are. Oh, and also you can move around the classroom now.
Alright, I'm going up there to tell them being alone must be awful. Ah, I can't even get up there to go right in his face. This teacher's getting fired. Yeah, we're gonna pick the option of ha ha ha, just kidding. I feel like that is trying to get me to do the one that's highlighted yellow. But whatever, we're going with the gray choices. Look out! Everyone run! Run! Even though there's only one person.
I fell pretty hard for this one. I feel like it's one of the most relatable experiences that you can have. To assume that some other person is perfect and totally fulfilled in every way, and completely miss all of the little flaws that make them painfully human.
You know, you're right, that is the Eye of
A
Sauron.
lot these days.
He's probably getting a failing grade for devouring the class.
This one took a lot longer than all the others for Coda to make. It was 4 months between this and the last one. That's twice as long as it took him to make any other game before this, and it's not like it's particularly complex, so I remember I found that a little strange at the time.
Right. We're doing the thing where the man just kind of like jumps around the stage. Obvious ballerina stuff. So graceful. Leaning against the wall, smoking. But is it? Tell me how to photograph animals. Tell me. And also, where's the bathroom? I will continue to dance around it. Here are all my hopes and dreams. I was confident, as this played out in my mind like multiple times. Alright. We can pinball this. High score. I mean, I'm just imagining this person just kind of sitting and being weirded out by this guy just dancing around her.
The game ends with this eerie premonition of what's going to happen next in Coda's life. The solution to social anxiety, to fears of having to perform and having to chase success, the answer for Coda is to withdraw, to hide himself away. Which is what leads to scenarios like the stairs that slowed you down several games ago, where it just becomes harder and harder to access Coda's inner landscape because he keeps retreating. He just keeps backing away from possible connections to anyone other than himself. And to be honest, I didn't consider it very healthy when I first played this game. You know, it looked to me like he was trying to justify the idea of just disconnecting yourself from the world. And that wasn't what I wanted for him or for his games. Because I feel like a lot of his games are inviting me to connect with this person, to bring him closer.
Instead, you go to jail.
But what can you do? After this, Coda went off and took another 5 months to make a new game.
I'm blind, guys. I can't see anything.
You should probably open your eyes if you haven't already. It's pretty much impossible to solve otherwise. And there is a solution, by the way.
Sweet, it's a timed event. Push all the buttons. All of them. Everything I say is a lie. There's no way to solve this. Hit by a giant door. You know, you just gotta hit the lever on the other thing.
Like I said, I was getting concerned. First off, he's never been this explicit in his work about exactly what he's thinking. So where's that coming from? But then even weirder, his work has potentially stopped being an outlet for him. Not like he's having trouble iterating on ideas, but he literally just can't think of new ideas anymore. And in person, he was being a lot more distant than usual. Like, you know how sometimes a person will just deflect anything that you say in order to keep themselves disconnected all the time? It was that kind of thing. Here was the point in my relationship with Coda where I really started to wonder if he needed my help in some way.
Hey,
His
Super
games are
Wild
going to
Gamer.
get more desperate from here on out. After this game, it's almost 6 months before he finishes something new.
Well, the thing about this is it's more of a, well, thank you, whoever that was. One moment. There's not... A lot of it is figuring out what the story is with a sort of interpretation, I suppose. Where did this island come from? Let's just walk into the fog. Ah, okay. Redemption Arc. Thank you. By saying despairing thoughts, it creates a path forward. Just keep picking the option
If
that
the
says
last
life
game
sucks.
featured Coda talking explicitly about his creative frustrations, this one turns it up to 11. Now, put yourself in my shoes playing this. Here's a friend whose work is exhibiting signs of struggle, frustration, anxiety, depression, even. And yet, still, he keeps making games. He keeps throwing himself into the grinder even when he clearly doesn't have the energy for it anymore. Why? What is it for? Because from my perspective at the time and just what I knew of him, this was a result of how isolated he was. He was in his own little bubble, just sitting at his computer all day, not really showing these games to anyone, not releasing them onto the internet, and so he didn't have anyone outside of himself to connect with. He had no outlet to ground himself on.
Ah, it's a teamwork puzzle. Space doors crashing in the spaceships happen about 3 times a day. There are so many people that die in space because of it.
You can't talk yourself out of loneliness. It doesn't work that way. You can't be the one writing both the questions and the answers. Then there's no movement. Then there's no circulation. If all of your anxieties are being channeled into your work, then if the work ever fails, you have no backup and you're just going to crash.
Then you'll have some weeping person in a cardboard box to haunt you forever.
Seeing this game at the time that he made it, it looked really unhealthy to me. I was watching him do this to himself, and I hated it. I hated seeing him so trapped. It's like, video games are not worth this amount of suffering. This
I
is someone
agree.
I really cared about. And
He
I used
shouldn't
to get
suffer
so much
playing video
joy out of
games.
seeing him create. For him to suddenly become angry and frustrated like this, it was the worst thing for me. I don't know. This is what I felt at the time. I don't know how else to explain it. I wanted it to stop more than anything. I had never felt so rotten. I needed more than I had ever needed anything for this to stop.
But was that the porn
But it
star?
didn't stop. After finishing this one, Coda takes another 7 months and comes up with a new game.
I feel like Coda just goes into like this underground bunker of which he makes games, cutting himself off from the world, and then after X number of months, just bursts out into the light with a new game. I intend to be brutal. Nothing will stop me. Ah, there's no lever there. Please, please, no questions. Alright, let's crank the thing up to 11.
And of course, it's the machine.
I mean, this is certainly a dark, depressing kind of thing. But at the same time, I get to talk to the press. My followers! And thus a cult was born. I have a troubling revelation. We will make the streets run red with blood. Wow, do we destroy the machine or everything that it's created? I feel like this is like the telltale choices. The machine will remember that, as well as the press. We'll start with the machine, and then we'll destroy everything it created. And now we're back on stage. We have to destroy it with interpretive dancing. Also guns. But mostly it's the interpretive dancing. Alright, I think I can pick off the machine from here. Well, that's one way to kill a machine, I suppose. Everything you've made, Coda, is dying.
So now the work is becoming self-destructive. And I'll tell you, at the time that I first played this game, shortly after he made it, here's what I'm thinking to myself. I'm thinking that Code is stuck in his own head, and that it's having a very negative effect on him, and that all he needs to do is just start showing his work to people, to get some actual feedback on his games. It might get him out of isolation.
I also hope that Coda didn't have a
So,
gun.
as I'm thinking this, I realized that I could be the one to initiate it. Because it would never occur to Coda to start actively soliciting feedback, so what if I did it for him? If he could see the difference it would make to have more actual conversations with other human beings, would that bring him out of his mental spiral? Would it give him confidence in himself? Would it bring meaning back into his work?
I need a bigger room to be able to start spelling out words. And
So I
now,
started showing Coda's work to people. I took this one, and the islands which you just played, the theater, the notes, the house cleaning game, and some of the prison escape games. I brought them to people that I knew and trusted. I asked their opinions. And the great part is that they really loved his games. You know, the point of it all was just to give him some external reference point, but they genuinely loved his work. There was nothing for him to be afraid of.
they also did say for Coda to get help, though. And then the machine lived on. And I knew it, the lamppost was in league with the machine.
The right thing to do? Because it's the thing that I always feel like I need, to be told that my work is good, that I am good. When someone really connects with a thing that I've made, when they see themselves purely in my work, there's nothing that feels better. And I got to give that very same feeling to my friend. I did something... I really felt like I'd done something good, like I was a good person. I felt like there was a friend who was in trouble and was unhappy and maybe didn't like themselves, and I could fix it. If I could give him this gift, maybe I could fix the problem.
But was that what Coda wanted?
How much they enjoyed his games. It was the best feeling. It was the absolute best feeling. It made me feel so happy. So beautifully, beautifully happy.
And so then it became about Davy instead of Coda.
So anyway, Coda finishes this game, and then really he just kind of takes off for a while. So this is June of 2011, and I didn't hear anything from him for several weeks, I guess. And so out of nowhere, one day I get an email, and it's got a private link to a new game of Coda's. This one is called The Tower, and to my knowledge, it's the last game that Coda ever made. So let's take a look.
This is like the Talos principle. Do not climb that tower. And I'm gonna climb that tower.
And this is where I have trouble saying anything meaningful about Coda's work. Because more than anything else, the tower just feels distant. It feels like it's trying to distance itself from the world. It's a very cold game.
With the cries of the damned and everything in the distant.
This room actually has a maze in it. Except that all the walls of the maze are invisible. And then every time you touch one of the walls, there's this awful flashing and noise, so the experience is really miserable. The game goes beyond not being meant to be played, it actually seems to despise the player for trying to play it at all. But I do want to show you the rest of the levels, so when you're ready to continue, press enter and I'll put a bridge over the maze.
Oh, I thought it was going to be something like Operation, where I could see the walls, but don't touch them. Also, apologies for anyone that gets messed up by all the flashing
And
stuff.
to be fair, it's not like this is the first game that's needed some modification to be playable. Like the house cleaning game. You know, that one used to actually loop the cleaning chores and you just cleaned a house forever. I had to cut it off so that you could exit the house and the game would actually end.
But did Coda
That game
want it
had
to
an
end?
idea that it was actually trying to communicate. What's the deeper idea behind the invisible maze?
That you can't navigate life.
The only way past this challenge is to randomly guess the 6-digit code. Like the invisible maze, it's frustrating to me, because it's the opposite of everything else that Coda has made. It doesn't encourage thought or engagement. It doesn't ask anything of me, except a lot of my time.
Alright, you have a good
If I
night,
could have reached
Super
him
Wide
during
Gamer.
this time, then maybe I could have asked him, but I couldn't. I still don't really understand why this is here. I'll put the code on the ground for you here, though, so that we can move on.
I don't know, maybe, what if it was just 6 zeros? Alright, have a good night, whoever else is taking off. We'll be stuck in this gloomy tower forever. Oh, cool, I happened dropped
The
into a
switch to
prison.
open this door is actually on the other side of the door, meaning that it's literally impossible to solve from this side. So even if you somehow brute forced your way through the first 2 challenges, and you got to this point, there's actually just no way to progress.
Well, that's just
It's
bad
scary
game
for me,
design.
The idea of Coda cutting himself off entirely, just saying, you know, that's it, that's the end of the conversation, not giving me any way to fix the problem. I feel like a failure, I guess, when I can't fix the problem.
Ah,
I
Davey's
can open
sounding.
this door for you, so let me do that.
He's
Was
gone
I a
over to
failure
the dark
for not
side of
understanding
game
this
design.
I don't know why I would be. It's not like everything needs to have a solution, but I feel it somehow. I feel like I failed, and I don't understand why. I remember, it's June of 2011. I'm playing this for the very first time, and as I'm playing, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know this person. I have no idea who this person is. It wasn't the guy I knew, it wasn't my friend. I had come to so many conclusions from looking at all of his work up to this point, and then suddenly none of them... I had been trying to, though. That was the thing. For years I was trying to get to know him, to understand who he actually was and what he stood for. I asked him so many times to please just tell me what his games mean to him. I asked him please to tell me what the 3 dots mean. And he wouldn't.
They might be bullet holes. Coda was a very disturbed person.
I just felt so strongly that if I could have connected with him, that if I could have somehow made his work my own, that I would finally be once and for all happy. It was that I needed to see myself in someone else. I needed to be someone other than me.
What if
But he stopped.
Davey
and
was
left,
Coda?
And it felt somehow like I had failed. Where did I screw up?
The only way to win the game is to not play.
I'm the reason that you stopped making games, aren't I? It's because of what I did. I poisoned it for you. I don't think I ever told you this, but when I took your work and I was showing it to people, it actually felt... it felt as though I were responsible for something important and valuable. And the people who played them, they treated me like I was important. They really listened and cared about what I had to say. Even though I was showing your work, I felt good about myself. Finally. For a moment, while I had that, I liked myself. And then you stopped, and I didn't have anything left to show people. I just had to be with myself. And as soon as that happened, there was no feeling at all. Nothing. Less than nothing. What does that mean?
Plot twist. Davey and Coda were the same people all along. He's just got multiple personalities.
I'm afraid that I did something really stupid because I don't like myself.
We've changed it.
That's why I'm releasing this collection of your work. Is because I haven't been able to find any other way to reach you. I've tried everything. And so a part of me has hope that if I put this compilation out into the world, and if I put my name on it, that maybe enough people will play it so that it'll find its way to you, so that I can tell you that I'm sorry. I know I screwed up. If I apologize to you truly and deeply, will you start making games again? Please. I need to feel okay with myself again. And I always felt okay as long as I had your work to see myself in. I mean, is something wrong with me? Because I know that I did an awful thing, and I'm doing it again right now. Like, I'm showing people your work, but I can't stop myself from doing it. That's how badly I need to feel something again, like I'm an addict. There has to be something wrong with me. Can I apologize? What if I tell you I was wrong? Will that work? Will that fix it? I don't know. I don't think it will, but there's nothing else that I can do. Just tell me what you want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
The walls are
Please,
closing in.
start making games again. Please help me. Please give me some of whatever it is that makes you complete. I want whatever that wholeness is that you just summoned out of nothing and you put into your work. You were complete in some way that I never was. And I want to know I want to know how to be a good person. I want to know how not to hate myself. Please. I'm fading, and all I want is to know that I'm going to be okay.
Maybe Davey should make his own games. Alright, well, you have a good night, Thomas. But is there any way to move forward? Actually, a quite glowing white void. That's always a good sign as to a progression to move forward.
More love, more praise, more people telling me that I'm good. Always more. It's like a disease.
And now we have to make a choice, to get on a train or get onto the tracks. Oh, I have to get on the train. As we're alone on this train.
Solution. I guess if someone had told me ahead of time that he just really enjoyed making prison games, maybe I wouldn't have thought he was so desperate. I wouldn't have told so many people that he was depressed. Maybe he just likes making prisons.
Maybe you should have talked to him. Or rather, yourself.
Even now, the disease is telling me to stop. Don't show people what a shitty person you are. They'll hate you.
The entire house was just falling to shambles. A metaphor about oneself. See, if you could just straighten that picture, everything would be okay. And entering into the black void. And here we are now, 6 feet under. Somber music, depressing, bleak wasteland. Nothing as far as the eye can see.
If I knew that my life depended on finding something to be driven by other than validation, what would that even be? It's strange, but the thought of not being driven by external validation is unthinkable. Like, I actually cannot conceive of what that would be like. What now?
Well, I mean, I was trying to do one of the other options, but unfortunately...
I think I need to go. And I'm sorry, because I know that I said that I would be here and I would walk you through this, but I'm starting to feel like I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot that I need to make up for, and so I'm just gonna... Okay.
Right before we get to the bright, sunny time, we're back where we started, in an empty desert, with crates in the air. I'm gonna assume that block over there is a crate. Close enough, at any rate. The music's really good. Very relaxing, kind of haunting. I'm back into prison. A door just out of reach, even though the floor is rising. But we can never get up to where we were at the very top before we fell down here. This is where we live now. And here we are again, at the train station. It always leads back to trains, and lampposts, and 3 dots, and machines, and prisons, and the desire to speak, and doors with 2 levers, and more games. I could probably continue that list, but that seems to be long enough. Almost as long as this corridor. Alright, we finally got the beam of light. It's some sort of metaphor that will not only kill us, but let us float up and behold the world around us. But the truth was, there was no world above us. It's all just an endless maze. In a barren wasteland, but with the beautiful atmosphere of space. An endless maze as far as the eye can see. I don't know, it's one of those games where it's difficult to actually chat about, I suppose, because there is a lot of confusion with it. But again, it's because I think that it's really that you're trying to put your own meaning on it. Whereas, I'm taking it in a more humorous kind of manner of interpretation. But I mean, it's with how we think about one person with one sort of things, but it turns out we were projecting our own insecurities and faults onto the situation and made things worse through that. No, not at all. But I can say that I can lie and say that I can. But yeah, the music is really good. So then we can tell Dragon that we got the full explanation of everything. We know 100% what the game's about, but it swore us to secrecy, so we can never reveal it. Because the thing as well is that even the narrator can be unreliable, so we don't know to what degree what things are being truthfully told, which ones are the person that's how they saw it as, and otherwise. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna go with the ex-con thing. I should point out that that's our attitude. Most people's attitude towards the game so far has been, I don't know what's happening. But I will sum up. It's a story about porn stars dying, an ex-con that goes to prison and escapes. And then he makes video games about prisons, shows them to his friend, who's like, don't tell anyone about my dark, troubled past. And he's like, "'Kay." And then he shares it with everyone, thinking that he's depressed, only to find out that the guy who shared it, he was the depressed one. And then his friend leaves him. And hi, SCP. Yeah, I mean, it really could be that you could spend hours analyzing it, and I'm terrible at kind of lore analysis and so forth. Which is probably why I joke around more about it than actually taking it entirely seriously. but after playing the Stanley Parable, yeah, I can see how this one is a one that plays upon that. Hey, but this game was misleading because it had a title of one of the games being Poor Stars Die. Yeah, I don't know as to... There really needs to be like the sign of you must have this much IQ to ride this ride. Because I don't think any of us would be able to ride the ride. Nonetheless, that ended a little quicker than I thought it did. So, 1 second, let me find another game as well. Because we can go for a little bit longer. I certainly did not expect that to be over so soon. Alright, so another one that was suggested was One Shot. Let's start One Shot, and then... The real porn star was the friends we made along the way. Let me see if I can get it all working. There we go. Yeah, I'm gonna try and start One Shot because the beginner's guide was only almost an hour and a half. So we're gonna start One Shot. Yeah, it is the sound effects for One Shot. Because I heard that One Shot's about 4 to 6 hours long. So it would be kind of good to start it now and then continue on the next stream and finish it. Okay, examine inventory. As it begins, waking up. I take the TV remote. So now I've got to find a password for the TV remote. I've taken the plant branch. Alright. Wait, which one was inventory? Oh, S key. Alright, let's break a window with the branch. Oh, yes. 1 second, let me fix that. It's taken a moment to actually try and edit it. Alright, well, you have a great time, Jasmine. Alright, there we go. Alright, let's see. He's being very aggressive for attention again. Hey, come here. Okay, so I have the branch selected, I suppose. Oh, wrong thing. I feel like I should be... that there's another thing. Need to turn on the light or something. Oh, okay, there we go. 3160. Simple puzzles, my one weakness. Actually, I probably missed the colored numbers. Okay, red 0. I should probably write that down because I'm going to forget. Alright, G3, B1, Y6, and red 0. I don't even remember what it was. Oh, okay, I did remember. Good enough. Not much of the world remains. Do I only get one shot? Aha, it does nifty things like reveal things from your computer. But did that unlock? It did unlock the door. Okay. Dangerous looking sparks. Those are the best kind of sparks. Let's light the fireplace. Alright, so... okay. Look through the keyhole and then get jump scared. Bottle of alcohol. Moving on up in the world. Let's combine them. Oh, well, there we go. I should try holding the branch. And now I've got a fiery branch. Alright, we're setting the house on fire. Okay. Okay, so I've got the basement key, so now I can open this door, presumably. Okay, so I can only look at the door. Let's open this one instead. And now going into the ominous basement. Maybe this will make it a little easier to keep things lit. Yeah, that really does make things a little easier to keep lit. I suppose the message was that I had the power all along. Now I can read the books. There we go. I've got to actually get used to the selecting the item and not having it be automatically selected. That certainly doesn't sound good. There's a sort of, much like the beginner's guide, it just has a kind of desolate, kind of emptiness to it. It does have kind of vibes of like Heartbound that's being worked on. Great exposition. Great. This has a kind of Dark Souls vibe to it as well. It's like the Age of Fire. We need to rekindle the flame. Of course. Yeah, do our bidding. Isn't it lucky that we're the ones that they get roped into it? Alright, there we go. A map would be very helpful. It could be grim vibes as well. Now that I think about it, that's actually a good point. Oh. This might take a bit. There we go. I'm actually surprised it gave you enough letters to actually spell all that. In all capitals, too. Because you're gonna need it. Yeah, they're like, it's Granky Templar! They just can't use their indoor voice, apparently. Yeah, I saw the lowercase, but I forgot to actually use it. Which is my mistake. But you only get one shot at it, so... 1 second, cat aggro. I suppose that could be alright. Alright, 1 moment, pause in for cat aggro. Alright, she's sitting at my feet. We'll see how long this lasts. Yeah, probably shouldn't be near the dangerous machinery. Alright, so we've got the creepy old factory. Alright, so I suppose I'm gonna have to find a gas mask. Because otherwise, probably not gonna be good times. I don't even remember the code from the beginner's guide, but I'm gonna say that that's what it was. That is super unfortunate. So now the fun part is, you've got the usual tropes as to whenever you've entered into a new world and all that sort of stuff. The question is as to how dangerous everything is. And a kind of ominous, dark transition as well. Could be a cat person. Well, welcome back. But I can rekindle the bonfire. I get the feeling it's not going to be that easy to go home. That is a good way to put it with the math. It's definitely going to have that dark, menacing kind of theme to it, where everything is ominous. And depressing stuff lurks just beneath the surface. Unscrew everything. Do you want to play chess as the world ends? And can't use the sink either. I could just, like, wipe it down. You never quite know where you're gonna end up. I am not Merg. This is like the darker side of things like Wall-E or Johnny 5. Alright, I've got the camera. I would think taking the lantern would also be kind of nice to have. If there's anything about adventure games is that you pick up everything that moves and even things that don't. But I could just ride on your shoulders, and then you could walk across. I'm playing on full screen at the moment. It's like Wall-E over. Okay, so I need a cart or a vehicle to move on. So there's not much that I can do to that side yet. And so we'll just explore more. There's no doubt there's a bunch of items or such to pick up. Oh, I probably need the gas mask to move on here. Alright, so gas mask to go up that way. Apparently it is trying to stop me from doing, obviously, suicidal actions. Oh, okay. Well, then that's also helpful. These sparkles, it's kind of difficult to tell if it's an actual item that just happens to be over the edge. Oh, well, that's a vehicle. I don't think I can push it. So we explored the right side. Let's see what's on the left. Actually, I think this is where I originally woke up, after I solved the initial puzzles. I wonder if it's going to be continuing to be all the deadly gas up here, or if this is just a different area. Aha! Oh, pipe. I've got the lead pipe. Little tired. I'm assuming that that's to quit. And or save. I mean, if it's a 10-foot girl in medieval armor, you know that she's gonna be trustworthy. There's no chance that she'll betray you, even if she wants the world to end. Alright, so don't go that way. Oh hey, there's a ferryman. Robot ferryman. He is a literal robot. The question is, what do I need to fix it? Oh, okay, cool. Well, then that's good to know. It also feels kind of Undertale-ish. I don't think I went in this building, though. More books. I don't think we can do the manufacturer, but I have a sun in my hand, so I guess solar panels are the way of the future. Oh, it's Isaac Asimov's Three Laws of Robotics. Alright, the map. I would have thought I'd be able to take it. I would be trying to read those. I've just been intermittently having to mute my microphone because I've either been coughing or sneezing. Not very much, but I've been periodically. I'm not sure if I'd be not being able to read all of it very well. This will probably be important later. Ha! I do not. Alright, so I'm assuming I need to flatten the pipe with the stamping machine. One single what? Now we'll have to find the battery for the big machine. Alright, so I'm pretty sure I need to find the stamping machine and then flatten the rod. And that would let me open it. There we go, we got a crowbar. Now we can kill anyone that gets in our way. Unless they have more sophisticated weapons, which since we've got robots, I presume that they do. Simple puzzles are my one weakness. Little metal cube and some broken glass. I'll take the broken glass. Now, if only I could charge it. just go around unscrewing everything. Alright, so I think I need to get the, oh hey, Dragon Tamer. I think I probably need to replace the lenses on it since it had broken glass. So now the question is finding replacement lenses. Sure, let's see what we can ask now. I have not been programmed to have friends. Also, his head kind of looks like a companion cube. Oh, there were other questions I could ask. Oh. I did not intend to ask the same thing. Alright, let's skip. Yes. Let's ask about this prophecy. Yeah. That is Solo Terraria in a nutshell. Oh, one more of the tower. Let's find out about this tower. Well, I like it when it assumes that I'll know the answer later on. There we go. It's like baby's first puzzle. Now I have the power. It awakens the monster that ends everything. The camera retired to a farm upstate where it lived a much happy life without its lenses. I am in shock. NPCs. We're bringing light back to the world. Aw, that's unfortunate. I'm gonna go with yes. Yeah, it's all caps. Alright, so the truth was, I was lying about knowing what I was doing. I was hoping to fool the game. It was like a double bluff. Nothing that the old crowbar can't solve. Ah, I gotta be windowed? That's unfortunate. I would just prefer to whack it with a crowbar. Or maybe the game would have mocked to you. Basically saying like, ah, you'll never figure it out. Alright, ordinary puzzles, my one weakness. I mean, I assume it's something to do that on my end. Okay, I think the box was over there. Yeah. That's okay, we can use, like, dynamite. That is true, there is Robot Dude that we can check out. Oh, well, then I'll go back. We'll go back and see what Robot Rower is doing as well. maybe he's alive and is deciding to row around just for fun now. I don't know where to find this document. Alright, one moment. This kind of reminds me of later Alligator, where you had a similar code like that, where you had to go to a website to actually get the code. Alright, I have the code. Unless the code is lying. Which, I assume that it opens up and gives me a gas mask, which lets me continue further on. But I could be wrong. Maybe the gas mask is in the mines. Oh, it's right over there. The safe. I'm gonna brute force it and guess every single possible combination. Yeah, that's always a thing. Alright, full screen time. From all the folks watching the stream. I'm glad we've established he can read. Oh, that's not good. I know. Davey is really letting me down. Well, why did Coda just keep making all these dark worlds? Where there's nothing but prisons. I wonder if I actually explored over in this area. Is this... Oh, that's right. Yeah. Language of memes. I feel like there could be more jokes. It wasn't just worth a shot, it was worth one shot for title drops. Wait, it really isn't Wingdings? So you're telling me that Wingdings actually has a use as a font? Alright, let's go back to the rower and see if he's awake and or alive. And or willing to row me to places before we go through the gas. Okay, this is the area where the rowboat guy is. There he is. Let's see if he's woken up as well. He has. He's even got cool music for talking to him. Alright, so time to find some oil for this guy, so that we can keep him from going all Tin Man on us. Curious, I know that when Deltarune was released, Toby Fox said to, like, not share anything on it for, like, the first 24 hours or so. It's been a while since I remember the release for it. Okay, that's just the bed. Emphasis on should be fine. Feels even more desolate and empty in this area, and the music seems to be reflecting that. Oh hey, this is the one where it said, like, to harvest it. I've got an empty bottle. Oh, hey. Hiya, Lily Doo. Alright, so I need funnels, and I need oil. See, this is what happens when you kill the Radiants and you destroy the sun. You have to get a light bulb to fix everything. Not really, but I mean, you can try. Oh, okay, cool. I didn't even realize I still had the bottle there. Hi, Miss and Mr. Gaiman. Push him? That seems like a pretty evil thing to do. I mean, next you're gonna tell me to start crowbarring people. More people. Two vent zones. I'm pretty sure that will be important for later. Seems like a pretty nice, quiet area. I get the feeling that I'm gonna need to row to reach the next area, using the robot once I have the oil. Now that goes up pretty high. That's okay, ladders are more afraid of you than you are of them. Crowbar the sun. The crowbar would be the solution to every puzzle in this game. Let's crowbar it. Alright, let's go into the infirmary. Well, it's good to know that I'm not hurt. Plastic syringe. Now I can go around injecting people with stuff. I mean, maybe if that's like the genocide path of this game. I suppose at some point I'm going to need to get something in one of these little outposts. I'm not good, thanks. I need to have all the answers. I don't recall having a crowbar in Doom Eternal, but I think Now, if I get a chainsaw, that's a completely different matter. You gotta be thankful for these people that leave notes before they die and leave this place alone and empty. Oh yeah, I found the goopy bubble. I need a funnel. Oh hey, big robot. That seems rather sad in a way, as there's nothing to protect it from. Well, we're gonna leave the Iron Giant alone and continue exploring. I see. So the gas also removes rust. And I got some of it in a bottle. So I might be able to get road elsewhere. Alright, well you have a good night, Fear Boss. Rubber gloves. And they're mine now. Ha! Crowbar it! Indeed. You have to keep in mind that right now I'm more aimlessly exploring and picking up everything I can, and then I'll loop back around and just use everything on everything until I get more stuff. A cleaning sponge. Okay, so that would also suggest that the syringe would be what I'd need to get the liquid phosphor. Good thing that I got a set of rubber gloves. Alright, so that's all the stuff up there. I think that I'm probably gonna rest and call it for tonight. So I'll head over to that bed first, and then this will be where I'll pick up for next time. Probably, which should be Saturday night. As it's starting to get a bit late, and sleep deprivation's starting to catch up with me. However, this is looking like a good bit of fun. It feels a lot like Dark Souls with the story-wise, in terms of starting the light. But kind of like Undertale-ish with the exploration. Only without the entire pacifism genocide thing. So I'm glad that I actually made time to play this, and I'm looking forward to continuing to try and actually finish. Alright, well, thank you everyone for showing up, for all your kind words, feedback, and everything. Other than that, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful night. And potentially see you Saturday. Yeah, we've been catching up. Usually it's during the week. Weekend I get to sleep in a bit.